From ABC News, World News Saturday, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. 3 weeks after his defeat in the Persian Gulf War and in the midst of an internal rebellion against him, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein went on television today. He promised to allow multi-party democracy in Iraq, but his words were greeted with nearly universal disbelief and a cold shoulder from President Bush. We have two reports, beginning with ABC's Charles Glass.
At long last, addressing the people, he led to resounding defeat. Saddam Hussein branded those Iraqis who are now in open rebellion as traitors.
Those who are doing this are foreign agents, motivated by a sense of betrayal.
He accused Shiites in southern Iraq of working for a foreign power, obviously Iran, but said their rebellion was already dying out. However, images just shown on Iranian television, they were smuggled out by amateur photographers, tell another story of a revolt in full swing. Saddam admitted the Kurdish uprising in northern Iraq continued, but he said that too would be crushed. But by radio from Kurdistan, a Kurdish fighter told ABC News most of northern Iraq was now in rebel hands. Despite Saddam's promises today, opposition leaders doubt he will establish a multi-party democracy after 20 years of dictatorship.
I don't think there is anyone in Iraq or outside Iraq who will respond positively to Saddam Hussein's call.
Saddam Hussein timed his speech to be delivered the night before Ramadan, the Muslim holy month of fasting. Like Lent for the Christians or Passover for the Jews, it's a time when devout Muslims ask God to forgive and forget their sins. The question in Iraq is whether the Iraqi people will forgive and forget what Saddam has done. Charles Glass, ABC News, Damascus.
This is Ann Compton. President Bush was not impressed with any of Saddam Hussein's diplomatic promises, which came while the president was meeting with Prime Minister John Major on the British island of Bermuda.
I find it very difficult to see a situation under which we would have normalized relations with Saddam Hussein still in power. His credibility is zilch, zero, zed. But if he's proclaiming that Iraq will be a democratic nation, fine. I want to see the proof of that pudding is in the eating.
He warned Saddam not to use the remnants of his military machine to crush rebellion in Iraq. But President Bush sounded reluctant to enforce that by reopening a shooting war.
None of us want to move forces into Baghdad or frankly, we don't want to have any more fighting.
Prime Minister Major said that international experts must come in and dismantle Iraq's chemical weapons capability. In fact, both leaders said that eventually the world will have to force Iraq to behave. Ann Compton, ABC News, Bermuda.
Kuwait's rulers are contending with a different kind of unrest. The people of their wealthy but war-torn nation are growing increasingly frustrated at the lack of basic services, and that's helping the political opposition. As ABC's Jim Bitterman reports, the biggest dispute is over water.
By the thousands, with tanker trucks and ice chests, jerry cans, and popcorn bowls, some of the richest people on earth are spending their days lining up for water. Emir El-Haddad tied a gigantic tank onto his boat trailer to service his whole neighborhood.
We're trying to find a way to supply our houses with water.
Nasser Jafar makes a daily run to fill the garbage cans he carries in the trunk of his Mercedes. There's no shortage of water. Large loads have been shipped in, but the departing Iraqis blew up power stations and transmission lines, so there's no electricity to pump water into the system. Today, after weeks of promises that electricity and water would return in days, the government said it would still be 3 more weeks.
We appreciate that they are suffering, but we hope it will not take that long.
But an increasingly vocal opposition is charging the Emir's government with incompetence.
What we were hearing from them, that, from the first day of liberation, everything is coming. We were shocked when we found that there's a big, fat zero.
And the opposition is finding support in the increasingly hostile lines for water. It is only the unusually cool weather here that's kept the water crisis manageable. If this situation continues and the temperatures rise, so too will Kuwaitis' anger. And if Kuwait's rulers continue to prove themselves incapable of supplying their subjects' basic needs, a water problem could spill over into something much more. Jim Bitterman, ABC News, Kuwait City.
For nations in the Middle East, part of the process of post-war rebuilding will be rearming their militaries. That's posing a political dilemma for the U.S. and other Western allies, as ABC's Cokie Roberts reports.
After a war where Iraq aimed weapons made all over the world at U.S. forces, calls have come for a halt in arms sales to the Middle East. During President Bush's visits with world leaders last week, Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney proposed an international summit to stop the spread of arms. The president responded somewhat tepidly to that suggestion.
I would like to talk to him before I commit ourselves further on it. But the idea of coming together in a multilateral way to do something about proliferation of weapons into the Middle East is something that has some appeal to me.
Though the Bush administration has temporarily pulled back on a major arms sale to Saudi Arabia, the president has sent Congress a request of more than $1 billion for Egypt. But once one country in the Middle East gets new weapons, others invariably come knocking at the door.
That will then trigger another round of requests from Israel and everybody else in the region. And I think then you'll be off to the races again, and you'll begin the process of reloading everybody's guns again.
If the U.S. doesn't do the reloading, someone else will. That's always been the argument for arms sales. But the Desert Storm success of American weapons could have changed that calculation.
One thing that's certainly come out of the last 3 or 4 months of war is the most sophisticated weaponry comes from the United States, and anybody else's is second or third class. So that they're going to want weapons from us. They're not going to want the Soviet weapons or the Chinese knockoffs or whatever.
To Kasten, that means the U.S. could take the lead in stopping the flow of weapons to a part of the world where war breaks out regularly and where U.S. arms could end up aimed at U.S. soldiers.
When on earth are we ever going to realize that our weapons last longer than our friendships?
Though members of both parties argue for a pause in arms sales to the Middle East, the clock is already ticking on the first post-war weapons delivery. Congress has until the end of this month to say no to arms to Egypt, but no one expects that to happen. This Congress is unlikely to buck the president on anything he wants in the Persian Gulf. Cokie Roberts, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Coming up, new evidence in the Los Angeles police brutality case. And later in this broadcast, how the Tatars of Soviet Crimea are finally reclaiming their homeland. And how bombs deployed during World War I are still claiming victims.
World News Saturday, brought to you by Ecotrin.
People who hurt from arthritis are discovering a safer aspirin, Ecotrin.
On a bad day, I can take up to 8 and not be concerned about irritating my stomach.
It's the orange coating that makes it safer.
Plain and buffered aspirin dissolves in the stomach where aspirin can cause irritation. But Ecotrin's safety coating helps protect your stomach from aspirin's irritation.
So I'm not worried taking the maximum dose.
Every 6 hours, pow, pow.
For minor arthritis pain, the safer aspirin is Ecotrin. And that's the truth.
We built this business
to help you relax and unwind.
Built this business
to bring water to your home.
We built this business to build your life.
ITT built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your dreams. Built this business.
In the wake of the recent videotaped incident of police beating a motorist in Los Angeles comes a poll by Newsweek magazine. It shows that 62% of Americans believe there is a significant amount of police brutality against minorities all across the country. In Los Angeles, the controversy surrounding that incident intensified today. Police released an audio tape contradicting the accused officer's account of the arrest as protesters press their demands for the ouster of the police chief. Judy Muller has the story.
Gates gotta go! Gates gotta go!
In what is becoming a familiar chant outside LA police headquarters, demonstrators, including some celebrities, kept up the pressure on Chief Daryl Gates to resign.
I'm not anti-police at all.
but I'm very anti-racism and brutality, and enough is enough.
Gates willfully represents a tolerance of institutionalized brutality and racism in one of the largest metropolitan centers in this country, if not the world.
Although Mayor Tom Bradley has declined to call for Gates' resignation, he has just appointed a critic of the police chief to the police commission, the only group with the power to fire Gates.
Too soon for me to make a decision like that. I'm angry at Gates. I'm very angry at Gates.
Last night, police released portions of an audio tape of the pursuing officer's radio transmissions the night of Rodney King's arrest.
We're in a pursuit right now. It was fairly yield at this time, and it's a white Hyundai. We're about 55 miles an hour. Vehicle stopped at the lights on Foothill from Van Nuys. They're refusing to yield.
That tape appears to contradict initial police reports that King led officers in a chase with speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. The grand jury continues to investigate the other 11 officers at the scene, and more indictments could come next week. Judy Muller, ABC News, Los Angeles.
7 members of country western star Reba McEntire's band, along with her road manager and 2 pilots, were killed today when their private plane crashed in a mountain area near California's border with Mexico. There were no survivors. They were heading to Amarillo, Texas. Reba McEntire was not on board. In a moment, coming home to Crimea after nearly half a century of exile.
Hey, do it yourself means you have to do it.
Yourself.
That's the time to ask Ace.
Rubbermaid laundry baskets are only $2.88 each, and an all-purpose heavy-duty utility broom is only $5.88.
Hey, Ace is a place. They need you guys.
Believe it or not, the better you eat, the more you can get painful gas. Surprised? The foods highest in nutrition are often highest in gas, but GasX gets rid of the gas, so you feel better fast. Eat right and feel right with GasX.
As you can see, the house is completely renovated with the very best heating and cooling system.
Must be a Lennox.
So we put in this new central air, and our bills are really...
Down?
Exactly.
Must be a Lennox.
Our air conditioning? Not a day of trouble ever. Must be a good one.
Must be a Lennox.
Must be.
Lennox Heating and Air Conditioning. Since 1895. Must be a Lennox.
Dean Witter believed in priorities.
Know why your clients are saving. Know why they're investing.
Okay, come on, folks.
At some point, it's college. Later on, retirement. But Dean Witter knows that often the highest priorities are all the things that happen in between.
Is there anything else you want?
Just the first dance.
There are many ways to measure success.
We measure success one investor at a time.
If you've been itching to get relief from the discomfort of a dry nose, here's good news. Nasal, it's not a decongestant. Nasal's a gentle moisturizing spray that soothes away dryness. Try Nasal. It's what every dry nose has been itching for.
Polyshades by Minwax. It's a stroke of genius. Polyshades is rich stain and polyurethane protection in one. Polyshades gives wood a beautiful protective finish in half the time. Polyshades by Minwax.
The Soviet people will cast ballots tomorrow in an historic vote to decide whether to preserve the USSR as a single nation. The proposal, put forward by Mikhail Gorbachev, would transfer a substantial amount of power from the Kremlin to the individual republics. It also promises that the human rights and freedom of all nationalities will be guaranteed. But there are more than 100 different nationalities in the Soviet Union, some of which have serious grievances against the Kremlin that go back to Stalin's time. Rick Enderfurth examines a case in point from the capital of Soviet Crimea.
The Crimean Peninsula, located along the Black Sea. It is one of the most beautiful and fertile parts of the Soviet Union. And today the Crimean Tatars are returning to reclaim it. The entire Tatar population, almost 250,000 people, were deported in 1944 by the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, accused of being disloyal, collaborators with the Nazis. They are settling in villages, building homes out of what few materials they have, starting a new life. Neriman Karadimov was 7 years old when he heard the knock at the door.
A Soviet officer and 2 soldiers with machine guns told my family we were enemies of the people. They gave us 20 minutes to collect our belongings, and then they marched us to the station, packed us into cattle wagons, and sent us to Central Asia.
More than 100,000 people died in transit. Those who survived were dispersed to various regions, but mainly the Soviet Republic of Uzbekistan. It was not until 1967 that the Kremlin issued an official apology for their exile. With their good name restored, the Tatars intensified their campaign to return to the Crimea, often unfurling a banner which read, "We have a homeland, but no home." Not waiting for the central government in Moscow to resolve this nationality problem, more than 90,000 Tatars have now made their way home, often meeting intense local opposition from the Russians and Ukrainians living here. Still they come, and they are also reestablishing their cultural ties with their past, with the young learning the folk traditions of their ancestors. Nearly 50 years after their expulsion, the Crimean Tatars have taken things into their own hands, hoping the renewed Soviet state Mikhail Gorbachev talks about will ensure a home for them. Rick Interfirth, ABC News, in the Crimean city of Simferopol.
In Moscow today, Secretary of State James Baker met with representatives of the 3 rebellious Baltic republics. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are all demanding independence from the Soviet Union. And along with Moldavia, Georgia, and Armenia, they are boycotting tomorrow's referendum on Soviet unity. Secretary of State Baker will be the guest tomorrow on This Week with David Brinkley. Ethnic rivalries and drives for independence have led to unprecedented unrest in Yugoslavia. Today, the hardline communist leader of the Republic of Serbia went on TV to announce that he no longer recognizes the federal presidency and that he's mobilizing his own security force to combat internal unrest. When we return, baseball's Steve Howe, from down and out to up and at 'em again.
In most commercials for Choice Hotels International, someone famous pops out of a suitcase. But the star of this commercial is the Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund, created for the American Red Cross. To support our troops and their families, we're donating $5 for every reservation made and used through our special 800 number at a Quality, Comfort, Clarion, Sleep, Roadway, Friendship, or Econo Lodge hotel. The Choice Yellow Ribbon Fund. Call 1-800-4-CHOICE. You'll be doing your part for those who are doing theirs.
LensCrafters made me these wonderful top quality glasses and got me back on track in about an hour.
LensCrafters puts the whole lab right in the store to custom craft your top quality glasses in about an hour. Call LensCrafters at 1-800-522-LENS.
The same medicine found in the prescription drug Motrin. Same as in Motrin in non-prescription strength.
If you want the same medicine found in prescription Motrin, wouldn't it just be simpler to ask for Motrin IB? Non-prescription strength Motrin IB. Accept no alternatives.
Jaguar introduces an offer as gracious as its legendary motor cars, the Jaguar Royal Charter Lease. For as little as $595 a month, you can lease a 1991 Jaguar, an automobile with style, elegance, and grace. Visit your Jaguar dealer soon. While the beauty of Jaguar is timeless, this offer unfortunately is not. It ends March 31st, 1991. For the name of your nearest Jaguar dealer, call toll-free.
We built this business
To give you vision, style,
built this business
to help entertain you.
We built this business to build your freedom.
ITT built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your dreams. Built this business.
Now let's go to Ray Gandolf in New York for a look at pitcher Steve Howe's latest attempt at a comeback and today's sports highlights. Ray?
Thank you, Carol. Well, for the first time ever, 3 women from the same country have swept the medals at the World Figure Skating Championships. In Munich today, Kristi Yamaguchi of the United States won the title. Tanya Harding took the silver, Nancy Kerrigan the bronze. The favorite, Midori Ito of Japan, finished 4th. In the East region of the big basketball tournament, Temple, led by Mark Makin's 20 points, eliminated the spunky Richmond Spiders. In the West region, the Arizona Wildcats rode the golden arm of Brian Williams to an easy win over Brigham Young. Fly So Free, the early Kentucky Derby favorite, fought off a strong challenge from Strike the Gold to win the Florida Derby by a length today at Gulfstream Park. An athletic barrier has come tumbling down because the crossbar did not. Sergei Bubka of the Soviet Union last night became the first man ever to pole vault 20 feet. Steve Howe, once one of the premier relief pitchers in baseball, is making a comeback from drug and alcohol abuse. Again. That song has been sung before, the notes always turning sour. This time, Howe and the New York Yankees are betting that the song will stay as sweet as the spring at their training camp in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
When you don't feel good about who you are, when you don't really know who you are, and you don't really know how to process those feelings, you take the drug works. And that's the deception.
Steve Howe's drug of choice was cocaine. Sometimes it was booze. They ruined a career that began 11 years ago when he was the National League Rookie of the Year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was suspended 6 times, released by 3 clubs. He could not climb out of the pit.
I never climbed the pit before. I tried to jump up on the top without doing the work and going through the pain and the humility and working through all those things. I wanted to be better, but I didn't want to go through all the pain.
Number 58, Steve Howe.
Howe has not pitched in the big leagues since 1987, but he still has his 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and the Yankees, with Dave Righetti gone, need a left-handed closer. So they have signed him to a contract, contingent upon his making the club and staying clean. The testing is...
It's mandatory, and it's also random, whenever they want.
He's a member of the New York Yankees right now. He's wearing our uniform, and we expect him to adhere to the same rules and regulations that everyone else does, and we haven't had even an inkling of a problem to my knowledge. Obviously, when you put a young man into that situation where he's grasping for his life, you might say that he better be ready for that opportunity because it's probably not going to knock more than once.
Whatever they want me to do, I'll do. If they want me to start, I'll give that a try. I have 3 standard answers now. Okay, and I'll try. I can't get in trouble that way. I have a goal right now. The goal is very much attainable. My family's behind me. People are behind me. I can't lose.
Steve Howe has become a born-again Christian. His arm is sound. He has pitched well this spring. But he has failed before, at least a half-dozen times. And he knows his biggest battle is with himself.
Can't trust yourself. Even when you're going good, you can't trust yourself. Got to keep your guard up.
Totally clean now?
Totally clean.
For how long?
Over 2 years. January was over 2 years. Seems like a lifetime.
Today, in his 3rd outing of the spring, Howe was roughed up by the White Sox. 5 runs in 1 inning. Well, nobody said it would be easy. Carol?
Thanks, Ray. When we come back, reaping the grim harvest from a long-ago war.
If you're using non-aspirin pain relievers, you should know about new Bear Plus. Bear Plus has Bear Aspirin for powerful pain relief and Stomach Guard to help prevent stomach upset. So bang pain back with new Bear Plus. Tough on pain, gentle on your stomach.
Accidents? I don't even think about them anymore.
Introducing new improved Attens undergarments. Now the best protection you can get, even when you move. That's because unlike others, new Attens has a snug, secure shape and fits high at the waist, not low. What's more, it also has a special absorbent pad built right in with 50% more super absorbent material. So it absorbs more than ever before to help protect you better against leaks. All in all, it's the best protection you can get.
Life doesn't stand still, and now I don't either. I've switched to Attens.
New improved Attens. Now the best protection is Attens protection. For a free sample, call 1-800-4-ATTENS.
Here at Channel 2 News, we're on your side. If you have a consumer problem, write it down and send it to 2 on Your Side. P.O. Box 2, Nashville, 37202.
Finally this evening, the weapons of war. Just how long will it take to comb the beaches and sands of Kuwait and clear out all the mines and bombs left behind by Iraq? Well, if history is any guide, it could take generations. ABC's Don Kladstrup is in Belgium.
It is the time for waiting. Land has been tilled, crops planted, everything is in the ground. Everything. Including live ammunition from World War I. Officials estimate that 1.5 billion shells were fired during the war. Of those, 30% did not detonate. Among them, tens of thousands of shells containing mustard gas, cyanide, and other toxic chemicals. 70 years later, the Belgian army is engaged in a deadly harvest. A concentrated effort that began in earnest 10 years ago to recover those shells from farm fields, forests, people's backyards. Gertrude Ludo was hanging laundry when she spotted several things poking out of her flower bed. They weren't flowers. Like other ammunition which has been recovered, the shells were taken to a nearby army base to be cleaned and identified. Non-toxic ones are packed with high explosives and destroyed. As far as the Army's concerned, that's the easy part. It's the toxic shells which can't be exploded for fear of releasing poisonous gases that military officials worry about most. Because a facility for their safe disposal is still only on the drawing board, the shells are simply stockpiled, 15,000 so far, rusting, corroding, becoming more unstable and likely to leak.
It's not like wine. Wine becomes better laying some time, but this becomes more dangerous.
And yet, except for one tiny demonstration, no one outside of the Army seems too concerned. Not the farmer whose pig died after swallowing a phosphorus grenade, nor his neighbor whose cow was killed when it stepped on a shell, nor even Paul Persoon, who was nearly killed when one exploded as he drove over it on his tractor. Look, he says, we were born here, and we've been living with this for 70 years. Military officials say most people are too accepting of the situation, especially younger people.
They see war movies, they think it's nothing wrong. They found it, so it hasn't exploded, it's safe, which is
completely wrong. A few years ago, 4 soldiers were killed when several old shells they were transporting blew up. In Flanders fields, the poppies still grow. But with millions of shells still to be recovered, so too does the risk of other accidents and more death. Don Kladstrup, ABC News, Belgium.
That's our report for tonight. Jack Smith will have more news later on the Weekend Report. I'm Carol Simpson. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
From ABC News, this has been the Weekend Report.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Saturday.
You're next.
It's not a man I'm looking for.
Ronnie Anderson, Joe Penny, A Whisper Kills.
Saturday.
The Quincy's Big Fat Yeast Roll.
Chicken grill. Potatoes fried.
Onion rings.
Homemade pie.
Ribeye steak. Garden bar.
Big Fat Yeast Roll, he's the star. Come on. Countryside works such a sight. Eat it all.
Or keep it light.
All the best just for you. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner too. Everybody. We like folks like you. That's why we do all the things we do at Quincy's.
Tonight. We're not dealing with your typical slasher here.
You're next.
It's not a man I'm looking for. Is Liz capable of murder?
Lonnie Anderson, Joe Penny.
You went over the line.
A Whisper Kills.
Tonight on ABC and WKRM Channel 2. The Cosby Show, weekdays at 4 here on Channel 2.